Yes, sir. Your slides are visible, sir. Good morning, Yuvraj sir. May I introduce Yuvraj sir? He is the business manager of the RKVY-RAFTAAR and managed CIA team, sir.
Hi, Yuvraj. I think you're on mute.
Yes, sir. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Saturday webinar series by Managed Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship. Managed National Institute of Agriculture Extension Management, apex body for agriculture extension in India, is under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It's an autonomous organization working towards creating awareness about extension and training and developmental organization. So Managed Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship is an incubator. So working with pre-idea stage to advanced revenue stage agri startups with multiple programs. So last 5 years, we have mentored more than 550 startups, incubated 330 startups under RKVY-RAFTAAR program. So we have funded the 99 startups so far and 30 more in the pipeline under this RAFTAAR program, close to 10 crore worth of grants. So we have been doing this Saturday webinar series for creating awareness among agri startup ecosystem stakeholders. So today our topic is AI in agriculture. I invite my colleague Dr. Anupam Anand to introduce about topic and speakers for today.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, the topic for today's session is AI in agriculture, opportunities and challenges for agri startups. Artificial intelligence offers numerous opportunities for agri startups to revolutionize various aspects of agriculture, leading to increased productivity, improved efficiency, and sustainable farming practices. To deal with this topic, we have two esteemed speakers joining us today, Mr. Ravi Trivedi, sir, and Dr. Ravind Pastor, sir. To introduce our first speaker for the session is Mr. Ravi Trivedi, sir, who is a Managing Director, Digital Agriculture, the Nudge Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce Mr. Trivedi, an accomplished professional with a diverse background and expertise in various fields. He marked on his career as a software analyst for Hewlett-Packard, where his exceptional skills led to his promotion as a business development manager. His passion for exploring new horizons led him to Bank of America Securities, where he began as a summer associate in equity research. Recognizing his talents, he quickly ascended to the position of associate analyst equity research, specializing in the media, leisure, and entertainment sector. Continuing his entrepreneurial journey, Mr. Trivedi became the principal of Southeast Interactive Technology Funds and later founded and served as a partner of Cooper Rani. Additionally, he held the position of founder and managing partner of Srijan Capital, a holding company for several successful startups, including Cooper Rani and Push Engage. His expertise extend to venture fund consulting and growth consulting, where he offered valuable insights and guidance. Mr. Trivedi's remarkable achievements are not limited to the corporate realm. He has also made significant contributions to the agriculture sector. As a fellow of the Indian Administrative Fellowship Program, he worked closely with the government of Karnataka, serving as officer on special duty to the additional chief or principal secretary of agriculture. During this time, he spearheaded transformative projects, including pilots for early pest detection using AI and the implementation of carbon credits for organic filtration. Furthermore, Trivedi sir holds the distinguished position of lead of the AI Innovation Cell at the Karnataka State Department for Agriculture. His focus on bringing AI-driven agriculture innovations to farmer fields through strategic pilot programs. Notably, he recently signed an MoU with Vadvani AI to develop early pest detection solutions for cotton crops. Currently, Trivedi serves as the Managing Director of Digital Agriculture at the Nudge Institute, where he collaborates with governments and various partners to address the fundamental ecosystem levels of talent, capital, technology, data, and policy. Please join me in welcoming Trivedi sir, a visionary leader, innovator, and an agent of positive change in multiple industries as our distinguished speaker today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the generous introduction. I didn't realize you're going to go so deep into my background, but thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here and speaking to this audience. I have spoken to you guys in the past as well, so it's great to be back here. So what I'll do is quickly begin by telling a little bit about the Nudge Institute, who we are, and then get into the topic at hand, which is AI in agriculture. What are the emerging use cases and challenges? So the Nudge Institute is a poverty alleviation institute focused on removing poverty from our country within our lifetime. We focus on livelihoods, both urban and rural. when it comes to rural livelihoods, agriculture is a key area of our intervention. And this is where I head digital agriculture as well as, transforming agriculture for smallholder farmers. So that's the context about nudge. With that, let's get started. I hope you can see my slides, right? Okay, so what we'll do quickly, I have around 20 minutes with me. So what I'll do in those 20 minutes is to lay out background about what is artificial intelligence and machine learning, because some of you on the call may not be aware of that fully. Then I'll get into what is the newer form of AI, which is a generative AI, like the chat GP that you hear about, and what are those use cases and solutions that a startup can build. And some of these are very new. As you know, ChatGPT came only around November in the public domain. So these are very new emerging areas. And then I'll go into the traditional AI use cases that are worth pursuing, that are worth huge impact in the space. And then I'll talk about some challenges. And at the end, we'll take questions. So with that, let's get started. So a bit of background for anybody who's new to the space. Just to demystify what is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So AI is a practice of getting machines to mimic human intelligence and make those decisions or perform those tasks. That's why this artificial intelligence word comes. The machine learning is very closely tied because you need to have these machines to be trained or for them to be able to mimic this behavior. And machines, meaning servers, can learn from data patterns without human intervention. And how do we teach these machines is the whole area of machine learning. Now, I'll give you a very simple example, which is also the old, or rather the traditional classification model, as we say. Let's say you have many pictures. You have a picture of a cat and you have a picture of a pigeon. And if you want all that the machine to do is recognize which is a cat and which is a pigeon, what the way you would do is you would train that machine on those pictures. For each picture, you will say, okay, now learn from this. This is pigeon, it has wings, and this is cat, it has paws, etc., etc. You will use attributes and some other, and this is just a simplified version. And then over time, as lakhs and crores, or maybe it depends on the, complexity, maybe fewer images, the machine becomes adept at recognizing. And then later, when you present an image and ask the question, okay, is it a cat or a pigeon, the machine can identify. So that's in some sense the essence of machine learning and AI. Essentially, whole of this works on only three data things, the data elements, I guess. One is an image, other is a video, or third is the sound. So whenever you look at AI, you will see either an image is being used, and in the case of, for example, agriculture, this is remote sensing based image as an example, or a drone based image, or a video, or a sound, right? So this is just few things to keep in mind. Now, with that background, let me get to the version 2 of AI, which is a newer version. And I'm using a word. Until now, what we did was we looked at images and fields and recognized and identified patterns and used it for prediction. Now, what I call is the new generative AI, and I'm using the word Brahma. In our mythology or in our scriptures, we hear of Brahma as the creator. So until now, we had only identification of what is happening from image. Now we are using it to create or generate new answers. Although, having said what I just said, in the past also there was this notion of what is called the synthetic AI, which was used to generate, but it was not at the, I guess, the finesse at which today's generative AI models are. So what is this generative AI? This is what is known as a large language model. They are essentially trained on language, the way humans use language or we use language. And all these models are doing, in a sense, in very simplistic ways, to predict when a question or a context is presented to them, what is the likely word string that is the reply. So each time it looks at maybe A, B, C, three words and says, okay, what is the fourth word based on the context so far? And that's the whole series. The big news in this is it has been going on, and now because of the training with billions of tokens, it has become fairly accurate. And that's why all this revolution and all this talk about ChatGPT has come about. And again, we have seen how ChatGPT can be used for advisory intelligence, and another one, Mid-Journey, for generating images. There are many other tools for videos. So if you think about it, the other thing is that all of these tools actually look at any input and then convert into kind of like a binary or like a normative form, so they can actually treat any input forms, be it a video, and then give answers in that. Again, if I'm sounding technical, I'll try to simplify. Now it has become so popular. I think I'm sure most of the people have used some way ChatGPT. That Google also issued a code red. Again, these are probably slightly older things you may already know. And Bill Gates, who was the one who started Microsoft and has been a phenomenal leader, thought leader, he says that generative AI will have as much impact as personal computers and internet have. So in other words, if I were to say, it's like a Brahmastra which has been unleashed, which will disrupt many industries. And this is just to keep it simple. Let's now get into the next level and say, okay, what is it that it means? So let's look at one example. This is, by the way, an example I was sharing with the Department of Agriculture a few months back. I did this session to talk to them about ChatGPT. So this example where you simply ask ChatGPT, okay, you know what? And right now, for example, most of you may know that there's a focus on oilseed production. Sunflower oil gets imported from Ukraine and Russia. There are wars, so there are implications, and we need to increase oilseed in India, specifically sunflower, for example, to kind of prevent higher oil prices. So we asked ChatGPT, can you tell us, what are the things that I should do? And when you look at these answers, some of these seem pretty reasonable. And so that's the beauty of, I guess, the advisory model. But having said that, I will caution by saying that if you are using ChatGPT, you need to check for accuracy. There is a notion called hallucination where it answers very smartly in good English, but the content of it may be wrong. Just keep that in mind. Again, we are still at very high level, and we'll go much deeper as we do this talk. The one big question which comes, and again, maybe at the end you will ask, or maybe now, what is the difference between the traditional AI and a generative? And this is a very simple, I found, and I should thank, a researcher at IISc whom I was, interacting, who shared this, which is you have this image of an apple, in an orchard. And in the traditional model, it will do detection. There'll be an AI model for detection. It will say, okay, this is an apple. Okay, it will count, and then it will use inference to do yield and then conclude. Whereas in the AGI or the generative space, you are saying, okay, you're asking through prompts, okay, what is the meaning of this picture and what can we infer? And the answers are like, yeah, I see an apple tree with mature apples. It is sunny and there are crowded apple trees. Based on the picture, I see 20 apples and these are ready for harvesting. Maybe an operating harvesting could be done if these apples will be picked by robots. So this is what is also known as the chain of thought. So there are more nuance to it, but the point is you can clearly see the difference of these models. I just wanted to highlight because when we use AI, both of these things are coming up and both are equally important, if not more, AGI being the newer form. So as I promised, let me cover some of these generative use cases, some of which solutions are there, and some solutions are getting created. The first and foremost is around the personalized agronomic advisory. We know that one of the strengths of ChatGPT is to give answers to questions. And why is there a need around it? Because today, if you look at extension services that are being provided, say, by the government or other players, there is an agriculture officer which over time has moved from pure advisory to doing more subsidy schemes. So there is less of that available to a farmer. We also notice from our experience, and by the way, at the Nudge, we have done a field survey a few years back around the small farmers, and we saw that in the same area, there is a huge variance in package of practices that a farmer is doing within a region. And we wonder why is that and what can be done to fix it. Because if you know that you should do A and then B and then C in given sequence, and this amount of, say, fertilizer, this amount of nutrient. I mean, some of these are very data-driven, clear methods, but why is it that the farmers are deviating? Then we realize, there is some gap out there that needs to be addressed, especially for the small and marginal farmers. The third one is there is a lack of trusted information on newer techniques. There's a lack of trusted information which the farmer can trust. So those are the needs by which somebody can say, I need a personalized agronomic advisor. And can you, through generative AI, provide? And this is just an idea to a startup. I will also highlight that this is also a new area, but we have already 4 players, at least which I know of in India alone, who are already trying to attempt these, and I have listed them here. And they have been attempting in various ways, various pilots. So you can look at what they're attempting. So I would only say that if somebody is thinking of this space and this solution, you should look at what's your differentiator be. Where will you get the data sets from? Are you going to do separate training? You got to go deeper and be more specific than what's out there. So that's the first use case which I wanted to share. And this is an example. Today morning only at kisan.ai, I ran this query. I said, okay, what should I sow in my field in Vidisha, which is in MP, as rainfall is low this year? As most of you, those who are in agriculture, know that right now there is a slow sowing going on because rainfall delay. So if I'm a farmer and I'm like, okay, maybe should I change my crop? I don't know what's happening in the rain. And so this is kind of the answer it gives back. So you can look at it. I mean, some of them are relevant to say Vidisha, and it talks about millets, for example, are drought resistant, etc., etc. So of course, I'm not saying a farmer just based on this will change or, but he'll get some idea and then maybe he or she will interact and then make a decision. But that's kind of an example of chat GPT based or rather LLM based advisory. The second one I want to, and these are simple ones now, and I have one futuristic at the end on generative AI, which is eligibility of schemes. We know there are so many schemes the government runs. It is in unstructured data. A generative AI LLM model is great for synthesizing and bringing it together, and it can answer questions like which government schemes am I eligible for, or I am facing these issues. Is there a scheme to help me with that? Having said that, there already are solutions in this. I haven't listed those names here, but if you look out, there are a couple of people already attempting it. So that's B. Now, the third one is the state level monitoring. So if I'm a state, I need to monitor what's happening to my farmers. And most of these states have a phone-based support for a farmer. They have a Kisan call center, and farmers call them every day for various questions. Now, as we know, this generative AI is very good in summarization of this data, be it voice or text, and say, okay, what was the intent on the call? Was it positive, negative? What was the summary of it? It can provide a quick summary for each call. And in this way, if let's say you created a dashboard of what came in today to my call center, I can very quickly see what are the issues that I'm facing in real time. And this can be very useful for decision makers. That's number one. Number two, an agent who's answering these questions. Now a chatbot could be created for them. This chatbot can assist the agent in answering some of those questions and also provide maybe some kind of an accuracy score where the confidence is high on an answer so they can trust it and use it to answer a farmer so that fewer agents could be used. Again, these are some thoughts. I'm just thinking like a product entrepreneur here. The third one is there's a lot of agriculture news that happens, and there could be a way that this could be monitored in a summarized way. So all of a sudden now we can have a dashboard which can look at real-time issues, news coming up, those from a state level, and then, for example, an agent in the call center where you have chatbots answering them. All right, so this is on the state level monitoring. And finally, this is the futuristic. Again, all the cases I have given sources where I have looked the data up from. This is a paper we were reading about. This is really one of the things, and I think within a year you will start seeing it. And there is this notion that you tell an AGI system, like an agent, you tell, okay, I want this robot to do blah, blah, blah. And then it will break it down into pieces. And each of them, then it will give to another agent. And that agent will then interact with, let's say, in this case, the use case is that I have a fully automated precision agriculture farm field. And I am just using a very simple request to my AGI agent, and it's breaking it down and talking to various components in my automation that I have and interacting with the robots who are there, who are working and doing all of it, and then getting back, did I complete the job? And if there is anything wrong, like the weeding robot has got stuck, get back to me. So this is kind of it's not yet there, but I bet maybe in the developed countries in a year you will see that. This is just to kind of spur your imagination on what else is possible. So that's on the generative AI. I think we have only few minutes, so I'll just wrap up by going back to the traditional use cases. And I actually had done this work around looking at the full supply chain. And I am sure the other speaker today, the other esteemed speaker will also cover some of it. So I will only cover one use case, but I wanted to put it out there end to end. And these are not like everything out there. There are much more happening, but on the financing side, the carbon credits example, which we did a pilot on. That's one example where you can do, detection of carbon content in soil through AI. And then on the farming side, let me go deeper and talk about few things. Or in farm input side, in each of the stage, there is a lot of things, or there are a lot of challenges that exist that AI can solve for. I won't go much in detail, but for example, in farm inputs, you could look at which crop to sow advisory. In farming, look at early pest detection, farm monitoring, right? So I'll just pause there and then take maybe one deep dive into one of the favorite areas, which again I have also worked on, which is the crop disease and pests. So crop disease and pests are a huge problem. 30 to 33% of the harvest in India and even globally is lost due to that. So it translates to several lakh crores of GDP every year. And every second remedy used to fight pest and disease is wrong. Again, this is again a claim made by Plantix. The remaining is ICAR data. Now, crop losses can happen due to both, again, not to get too technical, due to abiotic and biotic factors, and animal pests and pathogens and weeds are one big part of it, right? So these are different. We are talking about the biotic factors. The other key aspect in pest is actually it's not only about the detection of a pest, it's also about what is known as the economic threshold. The idea is if you know at the right point when to do the spray, you actually can optimize for the amount of pesticide being used and have the optimal result. So this is totally possible with data, and this is where an AI ML based solution comes in picture. So what I'm saying is, in other words, and I'll give you an example. This is from Vadhvani, the cotton ace product that we were piloting, are still piloting, which is to say, if I were to detect for pink bollworm, and I were to also detect when have I reached the economic threshold, like highlighted here, then I know what level of spray to do and should I spray. And so it's not only the detection, but also economic threshold that makes it, very compelling. And thus you're not only able to detect soon, but you're also optimized on the use of the pesticide. The other big thing in this pest detection is, until recently, it was an agriculture officer, agronomist, or somebody else whom you were actually interacting with to get this information. Now the power is in the hand of the farmer. You have this mobile app, like I was sharing as an example, which a farmer can have. And in this case, for example, there is a pheromone trap, and it traps the insects. You put the image on a white paper, you take a screenshot, and it detects, is there the pink bollworm? And then what is the level? Is it green, yellow, or red, which is the ETL detection? So this is an use case. This is, again, I think more mature. There are other examples getting developed, but more will get developed. I think in the interest of time, I'll just pause there. I think I have already shot by maybe another minute or two. The other ones are on farm monitoring, and I'm sure my other colleague will talk about. This is another big use case, and yield and price prediction. Let me wrap up with the final slide on challenges. So all this is not without challenges. The big challenge in all of this space is around clean data sets. And each state has different language. So you need to have some kind of a normalized taxonomy of data. That is very important. That is where an initiative like an AgriStack, which the ministry has taken up, is huge, because they are trying to normalize 3 data sets, which will be, like the building block, like an Aadhaar, which has the farmer ID, the land ID, and the crop ID. And I'm very bullish on that. The other is a DPG, or a digital public good. For example, if you were to create an open source library of, a database of diseases in terms of, the leaf images or the stem images and the pests, that'll be huge to spur innovation. So that's on the traditional side. On the generative, the challenges are, you need a large volume of data to train these models. The one big thing we know is around explainability. It's hard to explain why a model generated an answer. That's another aspect of it. And then, of course, you have input data in various forms which need to be converted into a textual form to train these models. So with that, I'll pause. I think I covered a lot of ground, but I'll just pause and I'll just hand it over back to the speaker.
Thank you, sir. It was a fully detailed and exhaustive presentation. I think as attendees must have many questions to ask to you, but we'll take the questions at the end of the session so that we can have our next speaker in continuance. So to introduce our second speaker of the day, we have Dr. Ravindra Pastor, sir, who is co-founder and CEO at eFasal, which is at Electronics Farming Solution Associates Private Limited, Indore. Dear participants, it is my privilege to introduce Dr. Pastor, a distinguished professional who has made significant contribution in various government roles and the field of agriculture. He began his career as Deputy Collector in the MP government, where his exceptional dedication and skills led to his promotion as Deputy Secretary of Rural Development. Recognizing his expertise, he was appointed as Additional Director of the Agriculture Marketing Board, further showcasing his commitment to the agriculture sector. Dr. Pastor's exceptional capabilities propelled him to the extreme position of Divisional Commissioner in the MP government. During his tenure, he spearheaded transformative livelihood development programs, positively impacting over 10,000 rural women self-help groups. His commitment to improving the lives of rural communities was further exemplified to his roles as Mission Director for the National Rural Health Mission in the government of Madhya Pradesh. Dr. Pastor's passion for leveraging technology to revolutionize agriculture led him to co-found Electronic Farming Solutions Associate Limited, eFasal, where he served as CEO. Building on his success, he has assumed the role of CEO at eFasal, leading the company towards innovative solutions in the agriculture sector. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Pastor, a dynamic leader and catalyst for change, as our esteemed speaker today. His vast experience in government roles and commitment to agriculture advancement make him a valuable resource and source of inspiration for us all. Handing over the session to you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Anupam. And I'm really grateful to manage and you. You have selected eFasal to discuss this issue, and this is very relevant issue in bringing the new technology in agriculture sector, because we all know that agriculture sector is very important to our economy, and if we want to make 5 trillion economy of India, then agriculture sector should be come up as per national average of increase year on year, otherwise it will not possible. So most of the things my previous speaker, Mr. Ravi Trivedi, have talked about the technology and usage in India, and definitely it is very encouraging to government of India, and they have made such kind of policies and budget commitment to bring the new technology in agriculture sector. Because if we see the new technology or new methodology always bring by the persons, those who come newly in agriculture sector, and startup is the such kind of institutions built last decade in India, and we have more than 15,000 agriculture startup, and they are bringing new changes. They are reducing the multiple city in the agriculture. They are streamlining the supply chain, and they have developed the innovative ideas to extension and others. And but in this case, when we want to replicate or accelerate this idea, then we have to see the demography and particularly the economic situation which Indian farmers have. So as all of you know that more than 65% of our farmers are small and marginal farmers, and the inequality in income in India is very much high in the world, and our 1% of population is earn around 22% of our national income, and last 50% of people merely earn 22% of their income. So if we see the population pyramid, these 50% mostly are the farmers, because they are in the receiving end, and even the figure collected by Government of India, this is the national sample survey of organization which have conducted this survey in 2019. Only 10,218 rupees per month earned by the farmer household. And when you talk about the technology, you talk about the new methodology for agriculture, then certainly the price has involved in this. And since, as I mentioned you, startups, those who are working in agriculture sector, they have generated more than 1,300,000 crores of rupees as a fund, private equity venture capital fund in this sector. And they are using this fund to popularize the technology and the usage of IoT in agriculture sector. The cost is very high, and for startup, it is not possible to sustain long time. So I think this is the time where government of India should intervene. And what are the good example of successful project implemented by the institutions, corporations, and startups? Government should adopt those quickly and replicate. Otherwise, these projects have no effect. And for AI, because our land holding is very small, so we cannot copy model directly from Western countries or countries those who have the vast agriculture farmland. We have to develop the technology which is very affordable and usable, easily usable. So currently the smart spares we are using, yield predictions, some of our startups are doing, smart greenhouse management system they have developed, integrated pest management and using computer vision like drones, imaging, and others practices they have developed. Plant disease prediction is very much here. So these are some are the example, and as we know, the global population is increasing, and the food demand is going on, and some of prediction tells us that up to 2050, 90% more food demand will grow. So it is fair enough to bring these technologies in agriculture sector, and since India is the largest populated country in the world. So it is very much relevant for government of India and other stakeholders, those who are working in agriculture sector should use these kind of technology. The good thing is this, from where we can start this, and our startup can think of some innovative ideas, which I think, because I have spent around 50 years in agriculture sector and working in this sector, start from the village and go up to the highest level, and now I am running the startup. So I know what kind of system agriculture farmers would need, so they can use easily day-to-day life. Because otherwise, if we copy the idea, I will give you one example. Government of India currently promoting the drone spray. If I engage a labor, I have to pay 450 rupees a day, and a single labor can cover at least 3 to 4 acre of land in a day with the hand spray. If I take the drone, they will charge 450 rupees per acre. So in this case, cost is very high, and farmers are not able to afford that kind of cost. So they are not using the drones sparing right now. Even in some startup, those who have developed the sensor-based soil management system, pest control, and others, farmers are not buying these ideas and not replicating because the cost of technology is very high. So but this AI have developed, and particularly Microsoft have developed the regional languages module for India, and now it is very easy to use by the farmers their mobile phone. Most 70 crores of Indians have mobile phone right now, and villagers are also in there. So technology in their hand, and if they start using through voice command, they can use easily these kind of technologies. So in my opinion, startup can look up the new models. As we know, we have a mandi system, and every mandi have their hinterland. In India, around 30-35 kilometer radius, we have a single mandi, because the farmer have low volume of their output, so they cannot send or travel to furthest market to sell their produce, and they have to go to local mandi. And we know when crop volume is high and local mandi demand is low, then always price will crash. In current year, the onion and tomato price crashed, and farmers have incurred crores of rupees losses because government have not intervened in this. So this is the my idea. If we can map out the mandi area, we determine the hinterland of one mandi, and we can predict the demand and supply of that area through using AI. Then we can help the farmer, as well as we can help the other procurement agencies like government, private traders, MNCs, and processors, because when they know in advance what volume of crop is coming in this mandi, then they can plan for storage, they can plan for payment, weighing system, labor arrangement, and all those. So mandi transaction become very easy, because in my opinion, I think government of India is not going to amend Mandi Act as soon, but they have withdrawn the National Mandi Act last year. So it is not possible. So we have to live through that. Second thing is the now international prices are fluctuating, and we have after COVID, we have linked with the export market, and government of India has set up the target of $60 billion trade export. And this is the opportunity for agriculture organizations like FPOs, cooperatives, and even farmers to grow the crop for international market and export their crops. And gradually, as income is growing, the affordability or purchasing power is growing in upper middle class and upper class, and their demand of agriculture produce like exotic fruits, vegetables, and particularly protein based product. So traditionally, this wheat and rice, sugarcane crop, farmer can change their crop, and if market intelligence available in advance to them, they can change their cropping pattern and grow for domestic market as well as for export also. So this is the second area. Third is the, in my opinion, the weather. Weather is very erratic, and every time when we saw the weather report, those are reports based on macro area. Micro weather reports are not available. If we can collaborate that data, because we have regional or local weather stations, those who have collected the data, through AI system, we can develop a local forecast for farmers, and that will be useful for them. Apart from these ideas, if startup wants, they can develop the devices for soil management, crop management, input management, irrigation management, and this package of practice can be developed at CropWise, because currently most of the input companies, those who are producing seed, fertilizer, pesticide, their product are be used as a average, and we have a more than 17 type of soils in our country, and every soil type have a different characteristic. And now we are moving very fast to OP varieties of seed to hybrid variety, and in some crops to GM. And these hybrid and GM need very specified micronutrient and major nutrient. And if farmers are not aware of that, then they are using erratically, and it will enhance the production cost as well as pollute the soil. Degradation of soil is happening in our country. And all of us know government of India giving subsidy on fertilizer, and heavily subsidy is available on urea and DAP. So farmers are not using NPK; they are heavily using urea and DAP because their material is cheaper than NPK due to this subsidy. That's why farmers are not going to the natural farming or organic farming very fast, because they are getting low price material, nitrogen based material. So if using this AI technology, we tie up with the seed companies and develop the package of practice in the consideration with soil condition, then definitely we can reduce the cost of cultivation. Fourth thing in government promoting now FPO, farmer producer organization, and definitely because when you go in the market for selling any produce, they have three basic conditions: huge quantity, same quality and consistent quality, or competitive price. And our small and marginal farmers are not able to produce a huge quantity with same quality, and they purchased their input individually, so they cannot sell on competitive price. So FPO is the model in the future if we develop the crop-based FPOs. So using the AI, if we develop the virtual FPO, crop-based virtual FPO, and we will give them advice, and some startup can doing this work, I think this model will work very well, and farmers can also pay the price for that. So now most of the engineers, those who are taking the training in AI usage or machines, those are not very agriculture friendly engineers. So I think the new venture, we should create the engineers education system where agriculture based engineering can promote. Even for using the AI, prompter is needed. Everybody cannot give the correct command to the AI, and they will not get the correct result either from machine automatic AI or so prompter will need it, and AI can do lot of things in agriculture sector. For particularly when farmer will bring their crop in mandis, there is no FAQ. Government of India has not made mandatory fair average quality norms for major crops. When government will procure, or when one trader procure from the second trader, B2B business, always FAQ is the base for price determination. But for farmer, it is a manual system, and every mandi have their own system. Using AI, it is easily we develop the fair average quality norms for major crops, and this can enhance the e-commerce, particularly in agriculture produce, selling from one region to another easily, because right now there is no third party certification is available for farmers product. So it is not possible for farmer to use even agriculture e-name platform or NCDX or any other platform to sell their produce directly to buyer or processor or exporter. But when this FAQ system will develop using AI, then I think it will be easier for the farmers to give the voice command and sell their product directly in through e-commerce system. So those are the few things. And the last thing I can mention here is the labor problem, because now nobody wants to work in the agriculture, and labor is really become a very costly, and a non-availability of labor in some part of our country in agriculture field. So robotics can play a big role in this, and some our colleagues startup can start doing this uh, implementing some models in agriculture sector, particularly in greenhouses or exotic fruits and vegetable, where labor problem can be reduced. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to share my thought on AI opportunities and challenges. And I have talked about in perspective of startup point of view. Thanks.
Thank you very much for valuable insights, sir. We'll get into the Q&A now. So the first and foremost important, there are multiple questions in the chat. I will try to summarize and put it in across. So AI models, building AI models is not easy. It's extremely difficult in terms of spending money as well as resources. Who are the customers? Now that the farmer cannot pay, obviously small farmer, it's extremely difficult for him to start, at least at the starting stages. So how you are identifying the customers for this AI model, sir? So in your experience, can you please elaborate? Both of you can answer the questions in the same order, sir.
Okay, so I think it's a very good point around AI, cost. So one thing I want to highlight is, of course, there are startups. There are also a lot of non-profits who are working in this space. So AI for social good is a big theme. For example, the Nudge Institute I'm part of is a non-profit. So whatever solutions we would make, or for example, I know in the space, Apurva.ai or Vadhvani AI, all of the solutions they're making it available to everybody for free. So there's a whole new movement around open sourcing and what is known as digital public good, which is available for free. So a startup could use it, and hence because their base cost is reduced, they can look at some of those. I also know there was some specific question around certain models that are available. So as far as my knowledge, there are some models that are available, but not a lot. And I think there's a lot of need to develop in an open source manner. A lot of these AI models that can be done. For example, I will say this is not an agri stuff. Like Bharshini is a project which talks about local language models in local, like in Kannada, Telugu, those models. Those are one models which are available. Then there are some efforts going on by IUDX, which is bringing together a lot of agri data and other data in an open source manner. That's another, but that's not that's data. So I just want, maybe, I mean, if you research and very specific question, if you ask, I can answer, but there are some of those which will help. But as a startup, you can maybe use those, but otherwise you'll have to look at models where you are, what I call as pay for the service, which means, let's say you are helping farmer reduce cost in pesticide saving, and maybe when he gets the yield, then so you'll have to do business model innovation around the farming world, because the money comes at certain point, and kind of look at those models of payment where you save, let's say, 100 rupees and you take 10 rupees for charging them. And that's the innovation that needs to happen for all of this to be adopted. But I
Okay.
also want to kind of read a lot of open source models out there.
Thank you, sir. I request Ravindra sir to share his experience.
So in India, actually, all the policies we are carrying right now in agriculture sector, those have developed in 1960s and 70s, and that time we have the deficit and a net importer of agriculture goods from other countries, and heavily dependent on USA. But in 2023, now we have the surplus produced, but always government of India want to suppress the price, because the inflation basket have maximum item from the farmers produce. So when any price go up, they impose the sanctions, they impose the limit to go down. They curb the export, and the end sufferer will be the farmer. So the net gainer is the processors, exporters, and FMCG companies. So if we want to develop and who can share the cost, I think these three stakeholders will be they can come. They have this CSR fund. Most of the companies are using, but they are not using in this field. So government of India can make a policy. So those who are dealing in agriculture commodity, they can bring the new technology. So farmers' cost will be reduced. Second thing is government of India is giving huge of subsidy when they export the rice or wheat or any commodity. There are huge of subsidies available. When they purchase from the farmer, MSP is not that kind of, or although every grain they are not purchasing through MSP. So more than 70% farmers selling their crop in open market. So government of India should give the subsidy on this kind of technology where farmers can easily and agriculture startup along with agriculture department and other agencies.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now that so a lot of questions are there in the chat, but however, not very concretely as put in. So what I would do now, sir.
You can select the questions, and if their nature is the same, you can ask.
Yes, sir. Some of their same nature. So for example, they were asking, can startup make profit? Already Ravi sir addressed it in such a way that so both we have non-profit entities also. How government is going to? What if government is funding it? So why can't government fund so that farmers can get benefited? So what I will do, sir, I'll probably open forums at least for the next 5-10 minutes. Anybody is interested, they can directly talk. We'll start with Pramod Kumar Srivastava, sir. So we'll be unmuting you, Mr. Pramod, please. Mr. Pramod, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. I think we lost your voice, sir. There's some issue with connection. I request anybody would like to interact, kindly raise your hands.
I will respond this first. Most
Yes,
of
sir.
the agriculture subsidies is not direct. Only this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan fund they have transferred Samman Nidhi, Kisan Samman Nidhi directly to farmers. And even currently Madhya Pradesh government has implemented some schemes where through DBT they are sending money directly to the farmers' families. Otherwise, all the agriculture food subsidy goes to the producers of agri input, processors, or exporters. That is not coming up to the farmer. Even the fertilizer subsidy is going to the companies, not to the farmer. When companies will sell their fertilizer to the farmer after government of India release their subsidy. So if government of India can change this indirect subsidy to direct subsidy, then I think farmer can use these kind of subsidies very judiciously. They can use their money in new technology because farmers are also want to change their package of practice. They also aspiring for good income and a good lifestyle, education, and health for their children and family. So, and it is not the now situation where they do not know the things because we are living in the DTS system, direct to home. Every information now, whatever we have in any city, whether it is national level or international level, that kind of information right now have with the farmer also. those who are using this mobile phone or smartphone or seeing the TV. So information is not the problem. Only the problem is affordability or availability nearest to their homes. So I think Government of India can change the policies. Then it will be easier for all the stakeholders to use this kind of thing, and startup also can make profit out of it.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll go to the next one. Kanishk Pratap. Mr. Kanish, can you hear us?
And thank you, Ravinder, sir. It was a wonderful session. I wanted to ask you a question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you mentioned in the session there were different data sets which are required in the AI, and India has a large number of small and marginal farmers who are very reluctant, from what I have seen, are very reluctant to change the way they practice and they produce their crop. So, wouldn't that be an issue because you want to provide advisory to the farmers, you want them to have a good pest management system, but they have already been practicing this for the past 30 years, 25 years. So how will they get it or how will they change that practice?
You see, farmers are not reluctant. They are very advanced and they are early adopter to use technology. Only affordability or the economics is not working for them. That's why now we are producing the agriculture commodity, so we become the next net exporter. And after COVID, we are exported very nicely, and still we are exporting to the world. Not even basmati rice, other non-scented rice, wheat, fruits, vegetable, and spices. And I am not talking the processed material. Processed material is uh, bigger than this unprocessed material export. So the producer are the farmer, and they know the technology. Only the affordability is not there because unit economics is not in their favor. Market policies are not in their favor. When they do not know what kind of price they are going to fetch from mandi when they bring their material, so if the price is not minimum price is not guaranteed, then they are scared to invest a lot of money in new technology and adopting. That's why they look like a traditional farmer. Otherwise, if we can change the market, because agriculture is very highly regulated sector, you cannot move single inch without permission of government. Even you are working with the farmer as a startup or as a MNC or as a processor or any kind, you have to take permission from local authorities, from departments, and you have to take licenses and permissions, and it is a very tedious. And so government of India have changed this regulatory regime, as they have changed in under the ease of doing business in other sector. They can easily change in agriculture sector also. Then it becomes very easier, and lot of new participant or supplier can come and join in agriculture field. You look, government of India, I think more than 10 years allow the FDI in agriculture sector to develop the infrastructure. But not big FDI is coming in agriculture sector because their policies are not consistent. They have changed erratically, haphazardly. They are not consulting to the stakeholders and change the policy. So any big investor are not coming in agriculture sector. This is the position right now.
Thank you, Ravinder sir, for the answer. The thing is, like, we are running short of time. So in the end, I would like to invite both of the speakers to just give a concluding remarks, the role of AI that will be playing in the future. So I will start with Ravinder sir first. So just a concluding remarks.
Okay. So, friends, there are very much opportunities available, and since our 56% of population depend on agriculture, and our economy's backbone still is agriculture. So AI is very relevant, and particularly I invite all the entrepreneurs or startups to coming in this sector. They can bring the new ideas, generate the new models, and start a business in agriculture sector. Definitely it will be a profitable business, and you can make a huge business out of this, because it is a biggest market available in our country, and domestically as well as internationally. So thank you for all of you.
Ravi sir, your concluding remarks.
Yeah, so I think this is a very ripe time for disruption in generative AI. And those of you who are true entrepreneurs and with the capabilities, you can make an impact to the livelihood and make an impact in the sector is the first thing I would say. Second is, I know there were a lot of questions. I wish I could answer each of them individually on the chat, but I could not. But a lot of the answers are available. So I would encourage people to go out and research them. And I would say AI does hold the key, at least in my view. I'm very bullish on this to transforming Indian agriculture and including for the smallholder farmer. So I would encourage all of you to look at those. One specific thing I want to again highlight, which was a question, which is when it comes to pest detection now, the power which can allow you up to 40 to 100 disease detection, or 40 crops are covered in that. So now you can do the monitoring by yourself. So look at those are the low hanging fruits where you can benefit free of cost without extra cost. So I'll just pause there. Happy to take anything offline.
Thank you, sir. So, dear participants and speakers, today we have come to an end of a stimulating and insightful webinar. We have spent valuable time exploring the potential that artificial intelligence holds for revolutionizing the agriculture industry and the unique opportunity and challenges it presents to agri startups. We have gained a deeper understanding of how AI can enhance productivity, sustainability, and efficiency in farming practices, while also addressing the pressing issues of food security and climate change. So, dear speakers, on the behalf of the National Institute of Agricultural Extension Management, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our distinguished speakers who have generously shared their time and expertise with us today. Their valuable contributions have undoubtedly enriched our understanding of AI in agriculture and its implications for agri startups. So, as we conclude this webinar, let us carry forward the knowledge gained and the spirit of collaboration that has been fostered here today. Let us continue to explore the immense potential of AI in agriculture and support the growth of agri startups in this transformative era. Thank you all once again, and we look forward to your continued engagement in our future endeavors. Thank you, dear speakers, and thank you, participants.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.